The book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 4. But what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to start off as always by giving all praise, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well, who taught us this truth through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the elect out there, whoever you might be. Shalom to the 140 and 4,000. It's the brother Amawan Padah from the GMS Denver camp, coming at you with another lesson. And this one's going to be about the elect who will refuse to bow the knee to Esau, Edom in these last days in his beast system. And this scripture relates to that because this is talking about how the Lord has reserved a complete number, because 7 goes into completion, a complete number of men who are not going to give in to idolatry. All right. And, you know, Esau, Edom in these last days, as you know, was bringing forth his beast system. And to cap off his beast system, he's going to make the RFID implantable microchip mandatory to buy and sell. That is the mark of the beast, spoken of in Revelation 13, verse 16 on down. And as you know, in the UK, you know, we've done lessons on this as of recently on how the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has just made a digital ID mandatory to work, all right, to be a part of the, system over there. You have to have a digital ID. He made it mandatory or you will not be able to work, all right, which means you won't be able to buy and sell pretty much, man, because you won't have any money to earn, all right, but they're going towards this system, man, all right, and the elect are not going to bow the knee. Those are the ones who are reserved, are to keep their integrity, to not bend, to not break when these devils make the microchip mandatory. All right, let's get a few precepts, because this has been all through our history, man, how the heathen have always tried to make us bow down to their system and to turn our back against our power, Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. All right, they've always done this. You have the occasion of Daniel in the lion's den, all right, because they didn't want him to pray to Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. And Daniel said, hell no, I'm not going to turn my back on Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. And he ended up being punished and thrown in the lion's den. But what happened? The Lord rescued Daniel. All right, you know that account. He was thrown in a situation in which the heathen tried to force him to bow the knee. All right. You also have, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We'll get that account too, which were contemporaries of Daniel. But before we get that, I want to bring this one out. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 3. It says, thou shalt have no other gods before me. All right, that's one of the big 10, as they call it, the 10 commandments. All right, number 1 is you shall have no other God before Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. We serve the true and living power. Anything outside of Yahweh Bashmiah Shai is an idol. All right, you're moving in idolatry at that point. All right, and Esau has made himself an idol pretty much. And the rest of these people of the world, they worship Esau and his beast system. All right, instead of Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. And they're going to try to make everybody bow down to their system by taking that mark. All right, which shows your allegiance to his system. All right, in which you'll be a complete fucking slave, and he'll have total control over you. You see what I'm saying? When you take that CHIP, you're saying that you want Esau to be your God and not Yahweh Bashmiah Shai. Just understand that, and you're gonna be destroyed because of it. But yeah, I want to get into that account where the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, which their true Hebrew names is Hananiah, Azarias, and Mishael, how they refused to bow the knee to the image of Baal, man. They refused to bow down to a literal idol, and they were punished. So here we have the account right here in Daniel, the 3rd chapter. All right. We'll, read through it, fairly quickly to get to the point. Now it says, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose height was 60 cubits and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. So he had everybody, all the big wigs and the leaders, all right, they were all gathered together, right? The authorities. Verse 3 says, Then the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together under the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So they were all with it. All the authorities in that, in that particular kingdom were with the bullshit. Just like it's going to be here. You're going to have all the leaders and authorities here in America, Babylon the Great, and all across the world. They're going to be down with the mark of the beast in the system that's coming. All right. All right. Now it says, and even the 2/3 of our people. Now it says, verse 4. Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. So that was the order. That was the decree to all the citizens, that once they heard that music, they were supposed to bow down to the golden statue, that idol. All right. That was put in the law. You understand? And that's, plainly against our laws. We just read in Exodus 20 and verse 3 that we should have no other gods before Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Verse 6. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, all right, shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. All right. Now that's harsh as hell, man. That's a draconian measure being taken right there. And you better believe that these devils are going to come down with draconian measures as well for those who don't want to bow the knee to the image of the beast. All right. Some of us will be martyrs. All right. They're going to put people to death for not bowing the knee, just like they did back then. Things are written aforetime for our learning. All right. This same sentiment is being played out in these last days, except it's with Esau. All right. Now it says in verse 7, Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and languages fell down and worshiped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Does that sound familiar? How all these heathen nations are on board with this technology? Or you got European nations such as Sweden have a lot of their people already microchipped, using their microchip in their hand, which is the mark of the beast, by the way. It's already here, man. They're using that to make payments and doing all kinds of shit. All right. But they're getting ready to make it mandatory. China, you better believe all these different nations are on board, man. All right. So the same thing happened back then. All the heathen were down with that system. Verse 8. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. All right. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They have not served thy gods, nor worshiped the golden image which thou hast set up. So they pretty much were snitching on, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right, saying, hey, these Jews, man, they're not bound down. All right, they're not following the laws. All right, the same thing gonna happen to us. Those who refuse to get down with Esau's beast system and take his RFID microchip, they're gonna try to imprison us. All right, and punish us. You're gonna have people trying to snitch on us and whatnot. Maybe even your own family. Now, verse 13. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? So they were brought into questioning before the king. Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? So now Nebuchadnezzar was talking shit. All right. He was saying, look, man, if y'all don't bow down and worship this statue that I set up, serve our gods, which are idols, by the way, tells you that in Psalms 96, then, you're going to be pretty much put to death in a horrible, gruesome fashion. That's what he was threatening these men with. All right. You see what I'm saying? So the same sentiment is going to be played out here in these last days. Okay. That's why we got to take these different situations into account and apply it to our life. We got to stand on business, man. This ain't no Hebrew Israelite party. This is about to get real out here, man. And we see these devils moving fast in the same manner as the heathen before. All right. Verse 16. It says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. You hear that? And that's some of my favorite parts right there. All right. They're like, look, man, we ain't tiptoeing around. All right. We ain't going to sit there and sugarcoat this shit. All right. That's what they told the king. Well, come on, man. The highest position of authority in that realm. They said that to the king's face. All right. That's the boldness and confidence that we have to have in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. When they send officials and people who are in authority, unto us, we might be brought before judges and whatnot, man, in courtrooms. And we got to stand on business, just like these three men did right here. Now, verse 17, it says, if it be so, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. All right. So they understood the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that he could deliver us out of any situation. And we got to have that understanding in these last days. He's in control, not Esau. Verse 18. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. All right. They pretty much said, fuck off, man. There's no way we're going to bow down to your idols. That's madness. We know the truth. We serve the one and only true living power, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. And we know for a fact that all these gods of these nations are idols. They're not real. All right. And we're not going to do anything, to piss our Lord off, to appease you goddamn heathen. All right. Even in the face of death. That's the business we got to stand on in these times, man. Matter of fact, let's get a quick precept in that Psalm 96. So here we have it right here. The book of Psalms, chapter 96 and verse 4. It says, for the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. That's right. We fear Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And that's why we don't want to piss him off by bowing down to a fake ass God or bowing the knee to Esau's beast system and taking the RFID microchip. We fear the punishment and judgment of our power, man, who can do way worse than Esau can do, or any human for that matter. Verse 5, for all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai made the heavens. That's right. We serve the creator of all energy and existence. You understand? The rest of these heathen, they serve goddamn statues and fake ass gods, which are idols. What the hell do we look like being the Lord's chosen people, the sons and daughters of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai bowing down to a fake ass God? Madness. The elect are not going to go for that. Lord willing, we're of that number, and we continue to hold on to the end, because we know the truth, man. All right. Esau is the damn devil, man. There's no way that the elect are going to bow the knee to a damn devil who the Lord hates. All right. So back, in Let's see, verse 18. All right, here in the book of Daniel. Let me see, slide. Yeah, Daniel 3 and verse 18. Okay, they say, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. All right, so they're ready to die, man. All right, they say, you know, if the Lord deliver us, all right, or if he doesn't, we ain't gonna bow the knee to that bullshit. All right. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. So they said, man, turn that thing up, man. They, you know, because Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury. All right, that's how they feel when we don't bow the knee to them, when we rebel against them, especially Esau. All right, we confess that we serve Yahweh Shemi Shai, and we're not going to take that shit. They're going to be upset with that. All right, verse 20. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army, yet damn special forces grab up, you know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. All right. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments that were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So the very men that were trying to murder, you know, the Lord's chosen, they got fucking killed in that fire. And that's how it's gonna be in these last days. Those who try to come up against us, they're gonna be confounded and ashamed. All right. Verse 23. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. They were in the fire. We're going to be put through that fire, man, in the spiritual sense. All right, we're going to find ourselves in difficult situations, man, where it looks like certain death. But check it out. It goes on to say, then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. He answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High. That's right. Yahweh Shai was right there with them boys, man, in the midst of the fire. And guess what? They didn't get hurt at all, man. Not even the smell of smoke was on them, man. This is the power that we serve. Fuck these devils. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. They walked out that bitch. They walked out of the fire unto the king. Come on, man. Imagine seeing that, man. Imagine seeing that with your eyes, man. We can't think small, man. You got to believe that the Lord can do these things, that he can deliver us out of any situation. Any situation. Guns pointed at your face, you know what I'm saying? Esau trying to force you to bow the knee and take the chip. We got to stand on business, man. This is what this is all about. It's all about faith. And they had tremendous faith, and the Lord came through for them, man. All right. Verse 27. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors being gathered together saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power. I got a precept I have in mind. All right. Nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Come on, man. Look at this. All right. Let's get a quick precept on this, man. It says the fire had no power over them. All right, it's one of my favorites right here. This is Lord Yahweh Shai speaking, red letter. And he says in Luke 10 and verse 19, behold, it means look here. I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. This is what the Lord Yahweh Shai said, man. And we got to believe on this. We got to believe in what's written. We can't think like the regular, average, mere mortal out here, man. Because they're going to bow the knee. If you have a regular mindset in these last days, you're going to fold and crumble when Esau comes with those threats. You understand? We have to remember what Yahweh Shai said. All right. We're going to have power over the enemy. And even if we're martyrs, the Lord's going to give us the spirit to do what we got to do. All right. And you might not even feel any pain. All right. If we had to put our head under that guillotine, man, it's going to give glory to Yahweh Shema Shai, because we're not going to fold. The elect are not going to fold. And that burns these damn devils up, man. The fact that we're obedient unto our power and not to them. All right. But the Lord said, hey, he gives you power, and you're going to have certain men that get that spiritual power. Esau might try to put us to death, and then all of a sudden that power come on us, man. And we end up putting them down. You see? Think about that. Those things will be happening. All right, so back in Daniel 3, got a couple more. We're going to close it out. Okay. Verse 28. It says, Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who hath sent his angel, right, Yahweh Shai, the top angel, and delivered his servants that trusted in him. It's all about faith. It's all about that trust. And our faith and trust will be tested in these last days. And we got to stand on business just like our forefathers, man. You got to learn from this, man. All right. It says, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any God except their own God. You see? And the Lord Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua was glorified in the sight of them goddamn heathen. Hey, call Allah Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. All right. We got one more, and we're going to wrap this up, man. Ain't want to make this too long. But, man, that's powerful. Powerful. All right, here we go right here. All right. The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 16. And it says, Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? And the Lord is asking, who going to stand up and stand on business in these last days? And the answer to that is the elect. That are not going to bend. They're not going to bow the knee. All right, to the image of Baal. They're not going to take the RFID microchip and bow the knee to Esau's beast system. It's going to be quite the contrary. They're going to be standing up and speaking against these evildoers, man. Calling them out. All right, as you see the men of the Lord doing in these last days. But the point is, at some point in time, we're going to have to stand on business, man, in the face of persecution. All right. You see, our lives could be threatened. Our freedom could be threatened by these devils for not bowing the knee. And we got to remember the accounts of old, man. How our forefathers didn't budge. They didn't break. And the Lord came through for them. All right. This is what this is about, man. This ministry is about believing and trusting in our power, man. And knowing that he is, and he's able to save us. So, that being said, I'm in this lesson right here. All right. Lord willing, it was edifying and exhorting to the elect, wherever you might be out there. I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well, who taught us this truth through the power and spirit of Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai. May he keep your spirit strong in these last days. May he keep us under salvation. Speaking to all the elect out there, whoever you might be. So with that being said, Kwame Asharala and Abad Babal, Shalom to the elect.